started. I'm waiting for Twitch to acknowledge it. Twitch has acknowledged it. Waiting for YouTube to acknowledge it. YouTube has acknowledged it. And I'm waiting for Facebook to acknowledge it.
And then I just forget like the things I have to do. So it says, I have these responsibilities.
Okay, Facebook has acknowledged it.
Tell
now,
me when to do the switch, Richard.
I want to make sure your comments are working, so I will leave a comment. Your comments and questions are appreciated.
Really have to talk through.
And I'm waiting for it to pop up.
I just don't know what to do. I feel like I have a two-part thing, so I'm like, I don't know which one to do first. But I think it's flip the switch.
What do you think of that, Tom? We have a theory that your show is cursed when it comes to comments.
I believe that.
Oh, that one popped up?
Oh,
Okay.
we see a comment.
Whose comment is it?
It's mine.
Oh.
It's telling people it's okay to leave comments,
Oh, okay.
but nothing on that one.
Cool. Are we going to answer people's questions?
I don't know. Do you feel like it?
Yeah, if they have any.
I might not. It depends on what they ask.
Okay, shall we begin your show? Are you ready, Talia?
Yeah, but I flip the switch and then I do the action thing, right?
Oh, yeah. So step
Okay.
one, you have a switch that says on the air.
Okay.
Flip the switch. Let's see if the light goes on. There it is. Put the clapper in front of your face. When you hit the clapper, you're on the air.
Hi, my name is Talia Rodriguez, and I'm here with Latina Herstory, and I have the privilege of appearing alongside my feature.
Hello, hello. What's up, everybody? My name is Amber Martinez. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to dive in today.
Absolutely. So if you will notice, it's just the two of us wanting to recenter kind of about Latina Herstory, the project, kind of why we started it, and like my relationship to Amber, which always is like something that we'll obviously know for life, but an amazing, amazing thing. So actually, just to recenter, my name is Talia, and I am a writer. I write a column called Latina Herstory, and I'm published in 4 papers, Spanish language papers in Western and Central New York.
Let's give you a clap.
Great. I was going to be like, should we clap for you, Amber?
And
a clap for you. I had the privilege of writing about Amber, and I've had the privilege of writing, going on 3 years, right? So now really understanding like the depth of our relationship. Every time I write about someone, it's really, really cool. So wanting to spend some time, just the two of us, to talk about what does it feel like to be in the paper? What does it feel like to be Puerto Rican right now, Wepa? What are the things that you said in the interview that inspired me, and I think will be an inspiration for like the people who read it, who are on the other side of the digital divide? So definitely wanting to like revisit some of those, and then talking about, you know, future plans and the organizations that you create and represent. How does that sound?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into it. I'm
All
excited.
Right, perfect. Okay, so the first question is, what does it feel like to be in the paper, to be published in print, and to have your words and your face multiple times in multiple places?
Yeah, so it's a really big honor to be in an actual like Spanish newspaper specifically. You know, it's nice, and hopefully people get to read what, you know, my brand is about, you know, part of La Cultura, and of course Chilled Buffalo, and just for people to kind of get an insight of like who I am and what our brand is about. But yeah, it's a huge privilege. It was a blessing, honestly, to meet you as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because you are a very talented person. So, you know, the more I just can be out here and be exposed to just as talented people as myself, you know, the better. And yeah.
I think it's amazing having the privilege about writing about someone. It's like you really have to think a lot about that person's work. So if you want to say a little bit for those of us who didn't join us on past episodes about kind of what La Cultura is, if you want to take a time, and then also if you want to just like drop Maribel Huepa, because we're doing the comments ourselves, so y'all better put your seatbelts on.
Yeah.
Pero espérate. We have to go back. We talked about, so we wanted to start the show by acknowledging the resilience of our sisters and brothers in Puerto Rico,
Yes.
la situación, and also just their strength and just know that our hearts are with them now
Absolutely.
and throughout this entire filming, and that they are center of heart and mind for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Prayers and everything go out to family and friends that are in Puerto Rico. So just real quick, a little bit about La Cultura. So it started back in 2019 with myself, two other co-brand owners.
Cool.
And basically what our goal is to really create more awareness around the LGBT Latino community. There's just no space for us
Okay.
out here. So, we decided that why not? Let's try to branch out and just kind of shake things up in Western New York and get just people kind of just talking about it and hopefully, creating that gap that has been felt for a really long time in Buffalo. And let me just add, if you go to La Cultura's Instagram, there is a fundraiser on there for Puerto Rico. So please go ahead and donate $5, $20, whatever you have, because the people could really, really use it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. La Cultura, it impressed me from day one. I think that I have been talking to people because I'm on year 3 of writing about what type of people I like to write about. And I like to write about dynamic people who are community builders. And I know that I keep trying to center our conversation around this theme that like part of your energy was to bring people together to even create the community itself. And then like what that community really consists of, because the space that you make in part is digital. Right? Like part of it is this space that we can migrate to while we're online or while we're on Facebook. And I feel like with us, like that has significance because so many of us are, living in different places for different reasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Cool Beans, when did the Facebook come about? Was it first? Was it an afterthought? Was it like, okay, we're going to do it right away? Or was that a way that you guys like organized people?
So we originally started just because, we know people within the community.
Yeah.
One of our co-owners, works in one of the big clubs here in Buffalo. So we originally started with throwing our first event.
Cool.
And then from there, once we solidified kind of, okay, the event was successful, is this something that we could really like bring to the community and like, in different ways. Like it's not just all about throwing events, like our goal is really to like empower, educate, and entertain the community and how we can and just bringing more awareness to the LGBT Latino community. So it was after that event when we finally established ourselves and said, okay, like we can do this. This is our brand name and let's push forward. And that's when, we started creating our social media platforms. We did do a few more events catered around the Latin community. For example, one of them that same year was a Perranda, which is just all based around
I love those.
Culture. And
we used to do those at School 3, School 76. What's up, BPS? Sabe, Saturday Academy. Yeah, we used to. Yeah, you already know. Like, I'm bringing.
Yeah.
You already know they know. They used to, like, make insurance and stuff. So that's amazing that you led that, something active to, like, build a specific space.
Yeah. So, and then we just continued that with this year. Obviously, COVID happened, so we had to pause on that. But it's been a blessing to start it up this year. We do have a few other things lined up for the community itself. So just, stay in tune for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about when I went to Community Build and when it was time to kind of organize people around Latina history, because I think like my first objective was like, I just want people to know, like to read the column. Like anybody I met during the month of September at the bus, I'd be like, hey, you want to know about Amber? Because I think that you're a leader. And I think that also when, I feel like we touched on this, like when I was a young person or when I was a child or when I was a person that was like trying, and I think this is like a fluid thing, right? To look for examples, like I think it was difficult for me to find them. So when I decided to write Latina history because of my grandma, because of the example that she had provided, marching with Martin Luther King and like just living really a principled life in my mind, like I just wanted to write about people who I thought wanted or needed like a additional platform. So I'm so excited that like your story went far and that maybe some of those papers went close to where you were grew up as a kid, because you're a small town girl, and I love that.
Super small.
Oh, I love that. And actually, there's a quote in my coming column about small town girls and their dreams. But again, like, super excited that you're in print and wanting people to like know about my newspaper. So that's when I started a Facebook page. And I was like,
Nice.
that's weird that I want a Facebook page to tell people about, like my newsletter. But I think so many of us, like you said, organize in so many different platforms, like in person, on Facebook, all these different ways where you're like, okay, these things need to happen simultaneously for it to feel like a thing. No?
Yeah, I think as much as we probably don't want to accept it, me being my age and kind of living through, the upcoming new technology with phones and stuff like that and social media. Yeah, I mean, social media is super important for business, whether we want to accept it or not. But I think it's even more important that we understand how to connect in person.
Right.
We need, social media is like required, basically,
Yes.
if you need to do business.
Yes,
But,
that was our point, everyone. So for the audience, please like us.
Yes.
That's what we mean. We don't mean like other people.
Like the social media,
Literally.
and we're doper in person.
Yes.
That's the point.
Yeah, no, I think that's incredible. And I think for our generation, kind of being on both sides of it, because at some point there are going to be people who know, and there are people right now, and their perspective is unique and valuable, right? But I think also acknowledging it's unique and valuable because they lived in a world that's always had the internet. Right?
Right.
And like, I remember when Papi brought home the first computer and I was like, I just want to play this farm game. Like, it was like Sims. You got to build a farm.
I just want to play digital cards.
Yeah, literally,
solitaire,
in verdad. And then
The
like,
maze.
and all my cousins from the city, coming back to the digital literacy thing and why it's so important that you're in print, right? That your face is appearing in print, is that like all my cousins from the city and all, like everyone that I knew was like, oh my gosh, you have the internet? And I was like, I think so. Like, my brother has it because he goes to college, but I think I play the farm game, and just thinking about like my son and his digital literacy and what I feel like that means for his work readiness. It's just crazy how you've just had to like jump. But I think that you have a dynamic grouper on your Facebook. I definitely follow your Facebook. And let's talk a little bit, if you want to, about the logo. Like, it is gorgeous, and I know that it's very deliberate. Okay,
It is.
given the group that generated
It
it.
is.
So please
Yes.
divulge if you feel like you'd like to.
Yeah, being obviously we're all Spanish, we're all Puerto Rican.
Except
and
we have someone in the chat who is African American living in New York, Ola, and he said he's an outsider. I may disagree. And what could you learn reading La Cultura? Amber, do you want to answer that?
food, music, important historical figures. So, as far as us, we're trying to bring awareness around the LGBT and Latino community. That is our goal. Just because we feel like the actual community itself has been missing. It's
Right.
almost on the bottom of the totem pole, I guess people would say.
Right.
And I mean, not even just us. There is a brokenness within the Spanish community in Buffalo. So how can we help kind of close that gap? So that is our specific goal when it comes to our brand.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
But
Go ahead.
can I just add
Yeah,
to that?
of
When
course.
you do come to our
You know how much
events,
time we
I'm
have.
sorry. When you do come
Please
to our
feel
events,
free.
the whole point of us throwing events is really to make everybody in that space feel like
Yeah.
they're included and feel like they're a part of
Yeah.
something.
Right.
And feeling like, they're just not on the sideline. So when you do come to our events, you're always going to get food.
And
you're
I
always
was gonna be like, you're gonna get
music.
rice, so just check. Don't worry. Everything after that's gonna be fine.
You're gonna get more than rice. You're gonna get a good
Totones
plate.
de plátano.
Yeah,
I was over there eating. Like, ding, 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 ding.
like even the last event that we had, it
So
was
fun.
all a network event for Hispanic Heritage Month. So it's more than. So if you ever get a chance to come to Buffalo, just know you have a personal invite to
Right.
a La Cultura event.
Right. And also like her on Facebook. So excited that we get to see the comments and, acknowledging that like there's a significance and deliberateness of it just being us two, because I am your writer, right? Like I wrote about you, and I'm super excited later in our conversation to talk about the column and to talk about the ways that you inspired me, and again how you inspire others. And I just wanted to also add on to the comment and to the vein of the conversation that we were in. Community building for any purpose, I think, is amazing, right? I don't care if you're oh, we're a community and we just love this particular species of tree. Cool. Okay, that's awesome. I want to support you.
Trees are great.
It could be, for example, if you want to put a maple leaf, I'm here to talk about logos. I think that whenever people come together about something that's valued, as long as it's not hatred or hate speech, I'm all about supporting that person. So that's why sometimes I'm okay, regardless of what we're talking about, you're a community builder in the sense that you have the ability to move people, and organizing in all those different ways. And I think presenting yourself in a principled way and building a deliberate space has made people feel comfortable.
I hope so. I'm trying.
Yeah. Yeah. There were there were cookies there. I was lit. Yeah, I was lit. And in all seriousness, I did have the privilege to read. So many of you may not know, I am also a lawyer, which is not cool to say.
It is really cool to say.
Okay, I just as I wear my leather cape, which is my jacket, everyone, I'm super cold. And you gave me the privilege to read my column out loud for the first time. That was really, really cool. I want to thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a space for people to get to know you, for people to get to know your brand and what you're trying to do in Buffalo. And I'm happy we were able to create that space for you, because people need to know who you are.
Thank you.
You're doing really amazing things in Buffalo and
beyond, dun dun dun.
Yes.
Because sometimes when you're in Buffalo, you look out and you're like, is anybody out there?
It could feel like that sometimes, for sure.
Yeah.
But you did ask a question about the logo.
Yeah, tell me about the logo.
So we chose the birds. The birds obviously represent us.
Okay.
The people who started the, I guess, the wave of what La Cultura is going to be in Buffalo.
Out.
And then, the palm tree just represents our roots, who came before us, our ancestors and stuff.
Right.
And yeah, that's the simplest version of our logo.
So I love it, and every time I see it, it brings a warmth to me. I'm yes, this is the temperature that my culture is at. And I think another reason, right, as a political scientist and also as a person who has a fluid identity, why I like the name of it is because I feel if you know the Taino culture, right, which are the people that inhabited Puerto Rico, the Caribbean, I was going to try to say Jamaica with the accent, and I stopped myself. I was don't do it.
Jamaica.
Right.
Yep.
Y Cuba, I can do Cuba, and Haiti. We were people who saw people in many different lights, and there were fluid and different arrangements based on gender, right? So all the women lived together, all the men lived in a different place. Just putting it out there, right? And part of our culture was embracing people of different identities and fluid identities. So for someone to then come and bring a level of complexity that builds obstinance on top of that, it's almost not natural. Do you know what I mean? Because that wasn't present in our history. So I'm all about acknowledging LGBTQIA people have been here forever. Our people and our historical political figures, but that there's just a lot that people don't share about them, on purpose.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, weirdly enough, it's just that sense of community. And in my personal opinion, I won't put this on anybody else.
Yeah.
But there's no sense of community here for whatever reason, in my opinion, right? And it's you go somewhere else. You go to New York City. You can go to, I don't know, Washington, Florida, wherever.
Yeah.
And you're gonna feel like you're a part of something.
Yeah.
And yeah, to your point, back in the day, it wasn't like that. And hopefully we can just help change that viewpoint on how the community is seen as far as the Latino community.
Yeah, and there's a lot of intersections. There's a lot of different ways that people show up. And I think that you deliberately doing that is important and it's brave. And I just want to reflect on my experience doing that. I attended St. John Fisher, and we rallied for equal marriage, right? And I'm going to doors like, hey, I think this is a good idea. So I think you just sign this clipboard. And then also, again, oh my gosh, I get like these waves of inspiration. But why, again, I think I probably wanted to write about you is like my grandma marched with Martin Luther King, right? My grandma like literally faced National Guardsmen and German shepherds in the only dress she had and the only pair of shoes she had with a 5-year-old on her side, like, I'm showing up. You know what I mean? Este cosas son porquería, arranca. That's basically what they said. So, paraphrasing for the entire generation. So for you, I think it's the same fight. Like, civil rights are the right to exist in any form of identity, and anybody trying to limit someone's ability to do that legally, I think, drives me crazy. So I'm just so proud of you and the energy of unity that you're bringing to the community, because like it's important, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And the only thing we can do is just keep pushing the message, just keep talking about it, and just hope that it sticks.
Yeah.
Hope that it just sticks one day.
Well, and then I think the other thing too is when you're looking, if something, like even if you couldn't be part of something, if it happened, you get proud. Do you know what I mean? Like even the events that you had, like I wasn't part of them, but and I know Carlos, and obviously Jordan's my cousin. What up, people? And Carlos and I went to school together through Sabe Blue Devils. But like,
that's how small Buffalo is.
Yeah, you already know. You already know. And I was so curious about you. And you know, Francis.
Huh?
Francis is the way that you and I connected. Francis, what up? I'm going to tag you in this. Francis from Isla.
Oh,
because you went there. Francis, sabe, Wepa.
I was right about that.
Yeah, girl. She gave me your number and she was like, esta muchacha me recuerda a ti. She reminds me of you. And I was like, let's go. I was so inspired. That's awesome. So you were in the planning stages for an event, right? And what did I do? I texted you.
Yeah.
I don't know
you. Like, who?
I don't know you. I'm like, hi, I'm Talia.
It's like, I don't think I gave out my number. But.
You did. To Frances, and she gave it to me. What side? So that's one of the reasons I wanted to write about you, and I love the energy, and I think that people need to understand in some of the places that Latinos exist or that we're being encouraged or pushed to because of jobs or opportunities, there's a very different culture, right? And us showing up and deliberately making space for ours lays a foundation for theirs. So
yeah, absolutely.
What up to all of the Latinos and, people trying to just exist and make change. And sometimes that happens at the same time.
Yep.
Seriously. So one of the things I wanted to talk about too is like representation. So much of the energy that you bring around something that is really serious is positive. So when you think about the way you want people to understand like your brand or the person that you aspire to be professionally, like what are those values that you want people to like absorb?
Yeah.
I want people to absorb a love of food. I want people to know, Stephanie, if you're watching, she's shaking her head like this is ridiculous.
Just food.
It's part of my culture to love it, and it's like a way. Oh yeah, and you said that was one of the things you wanted to do was like build culture. So that's a value, right? Of like of building something and being a uniter.
Yeah. I would say some values. One of the biggest ones, and this is just a conversation that I had with a really good friend of mine, Lindsay. What up? If you're watching,
Lindsay, I
love you.
Right?
But one of the things that she always reminds me of is just grace.
Okay.
Just giving yourself grace, enough grace. Like once you give yourself grace, you can kind of just take a moment and just be.
Right.
Be present, just be in the moment.
So hard.
And just be thankful for that moment.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest things that I hope people value once they learn more about what La Cultura is about. I want them to feel welcomed. I want people to go away feeling uplifted.
Cool.
Feeling like they belong. And just having respect for others. Just no matter what, just period. Just have respect for others.
Right.
So.
Awesome. You're an inspirational leader. And I was inspired to see you in event planning mode, because I know how I am in event planning mode. And I'm just like circling, like, is anyone hungry? Is anyone hungry? Did you have a cupcake? But you were smooth. You had it together. You were well dressed. You were taking photos. I was like, oh, this is so different than me. Like, I think you inspired me to get a little bit more organized. But
it's just a feeling.
Yeah,
it's just
everybody has their different style, and I think going forward as a writer, that's a lot more of what I'm going to center my inquiry on, is like people's leadership and like their leadership style as they understand it. Do you know what I mean? Because it could be communicated in a whole different way.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true.
Okay, so with that being said, one of the ways that I feel like I'm a leader is from my computer. I get to write, and I absolutely love it. And I have the privilege, again, for the 100th time, to write about you. And I am excited for anybody that's just tuning in right now. And I know that you agreed to talk about Look at your face, like, are we really doing this? That you agreed to talk about some of the things that you said and to go over some of the questions that I found to be inspiring, right? Because just in case anybody's wondering, like, what the process is, it's like I reach out to somebody and be like, can I write about you? Can I write about you? I'm this person. And then I send the questions, right? And then I wait for y'all to send me the answers back, read the answers, do like more research, like stalk you guys, go on Facebook, all the pictures that I can find.
Not stalking.
Well, doing research. Very aggressive research. Very aggressive social, social, personal research.
There you go.
Which is a privilege, right? Because learning about each different person, I learn about their leadership style, and then I get to write the column from what you wrote. So that is always really inspiring. And if you don't like authentically show up in your answers, it's sometimes harder for me to write, I feel like. And I'm not saying that I've had that experience. I just feel like other people have said that. Like,
you feel like you can sense it in the writing?
Yes.
Love that.
Yes.
Okay.
This is good. When I write, it's like making rice and beans.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't cook. So I was like, listen. And midlife, like,
that's my only cooking.
Right. I'll take it. You already know Friendsgiving. But like, I feel like I want it to have that right smell, have that right sofrito, have that right when I give it. And like a lot of times, and I got away from this, but I'm going to get back on it. I used to just read my column to the camera. And then I was like, oh, I should share that, because I would play it back to me. And I think it's so awesome, like the audio too. So when I send something out, like, it goes a lot of places. So one of our papers, let's just go run down our papers. Our papers are OGs. Okay, Buffalo Latino Village. His circulation, I think, as he reports it, is like 30,000 homes.
Wow.
Yeah. Panorama Hispano, I think it's 50,000. La Última Hora, I don't know what his is, but he handles a lot of the South towns, so it has to be expansive. And then CNY Latino handles Albany, Binghamton, Syracuse, Marisol, yo te amo, Bendición. I love her. She's the female editor, and I also wrote about her holding down with Hugo the entire central region, right? And ABC Latino underneath, who I haven't had the privilege to work with. But, there's a lot of people out there that depend on this news system that really is highlighting you. So you can go to CN Latino's website, CNY Latino's website, and it's your face, like,
just like that.
Yeah, literally. And I'm just really proud of that. So, yeah, when I send something out, it has to be, cooked the right way, and it has to just be like perfecto. Or I'm just like, just take it. Just take it. It's imperfect. Just take it. Because I'm always writing against a deadline, and I think that's fun.
What is that? There's a word for that. Not a procrastinator, but like a no. I can't think of it now.
An adrenaline junkie, because I'm like,
oh, maybe. Yeah.
What, Tom? A perfectionist, Tom, if you haven't read my work. But yeah, it's someone who, to Tom's point, who's one of our producers, like, who really puts a lot of thought, and I think very much like you, into the way that we represent ourselves. Because we're very deliberately putting ourselves out there and exposing ourselves to the criticism and like everything. So, next question. Okay, the one that I always go to, so everyone's learning a lot about the column right now. The one that I always go to first when I get the interview back, I always get so excited. I'm like, yes, I have my answers. Like, this is going to be my muse, right? The first question I go to is this question, and it always tells me how the rest of the interview is going to be. And it is number 6, right? So number 6 is, what is your theory on human potential? Your answer. I just wanted you to like react or like.
I was like, this Jeopardy? I don't know.
No, you already answered this question.
Yeah,
Hold on, because Jazz is texting me, so I want to text her back. So what we're gonna do is I'm going to read you the question. What you said. Human potential is limitless. If one is willing to put in the work and heal and be present, one can do and be anything they want to be. So tell me,
right.
when you were writing that and when you're like, okay, this is the answer that I'm going to give to all of America, because assuming all of America reads my column, and when
Every
I
single
mean,
person.
exactly. And when I mean America, I mean like North America, including the Caribbean. What were you thinking? Like, were you thinking of a particular experience, or were you like, this is it?
Yeah. I think for me, if you're willing to put in the work to heal your traumas and everything, I guess in that moment I was thinking about the highs and lows that I've had in life, and the work that I've put into those high times and the work that I've put in those low times, and then what I was able to produce during those times. And what I came to the conclusion is that when you do put in the work to heal and to want to do better and to grow and to give yourself kind of that discipline to
I'm listening to you, sorry.
You're good.
That was my texting face. Hopefully you didn't catch me at the wrong angle.
I didn't. I wasn't looking.
Okay.
But
this is not about me. This is about you. Go ahead, Amber.
No, once you kind of give yourself that discipline to just want better, and you're on that road to healing, and those habits are just, the habits are going from like, I don't really want to do this, but I know it's for my better, to getting to the point where you're like, I'm doing this and I am doing better. You kind of switch something in your brain that's like, I can really make things happen, in the way that I want them and all of that. So just for anybody who kind of just is looking for any guidance and stuff, just keep on your journey and just don't give up. And if you can, like, find your support system. I think a support system is really important for anybody who's wanting to just test their potential, right?
And that's actually like, okay, so in all seriousness, let's pause on that. Test your potential. A veces you don't. A veces you're like, you know what? Esto y vamos. Like, I'm just gonna exist and be, or like just not challenge yourself. And I feel like I was sitting in my room and I was like, what can I do to like build that support network? And Edberto had asked me to write for a long time. And I was chicken. I was like, no. I was really scared. And I think that for me, it was such a challenge and it's such a privilege writing about you, because when I grew up, I didn't feel like I was good at communicating because I had learned to read in Spanish. I have different abilities and I have a unique way of learning, right? So I was like, and I know I'm a bad writer, like grammatical writer, but I'm good at communication, if that makes sense. Like at communicating emotion and energy I can do. So I felt that same way about writing. And I think that's actually why I wrote that question, because like, I was like, if I can do this, if I have the potential to do this and be able to be a positive impact on Latinas all across New York, right? Because from the beginning, what up, Jess? From the beginning, I just wanted to always take over the state. I was like, I just
Wait, like New York State?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. And, you know,
Alright.
when I first started writing, I looked for other examples of like women who were strong women that were writers.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, taking on that identity and then just like setting goals. But it inspired me, you know,
Yeah. I
because
mean, you're not gonna-
I was in a place where I just like wasn't activated internally from an energy perspective. Like I was doing things I'm proud of, but it just, I wasn't, you know, in that place que I had that inspiration.
And you were testing your potential with writers who are great already.
Yeah.
You know, like you have to look for people who you kind of wanna be. Not
Yeah.
really be, but
Well,
you know,
no,
just
there's
be
things
inspired off of.
Listen, I told you, I was like, you inspired me to be more organized. Like, I want to be like you. I want to make totones de pana. ¿Qué pasa? Will I ever? We don't know. Follow other episodes.
Invite me when you do.
You know, I will not. I will buy that from one of the. Okay, so literally, I think that this is the most amazing time because there's so many different communities that we represent, and every one of us here represents the one community that I think we need to acknowledge and also say like we're very close to the big balls, big Ross, big number. De 100. De 100 businesses. And you have had something to do with that in a very positive way because I tag you every single time I put out that post, Latinas in Business, tag you, tag La Cultura, and give people the example, mira ella. She did it. She's organized. She makes totones de pana. Vamos. Come with us. Do something. What do you got? And it's been so exciting because so much of that energy, yes, it's on Facebook, but I also see it in the fact that I now feel like I have options, right? When I want to go buy something, I'm like, yeah, this is cool. Or when I want to do a service, I'm like, let me support one of my new friends. Liz, what's up? Liz did my hair the other day, my Ariana pony. Go to my Instagram. Y'all are missing out. And it was just exciting to be in a new business and talk to new people. So that's our support network, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk really quickly about the photo shoot.
Okay.
It was fun.
It was fun.
It was fun. Yeah, we had a fall social. It was fun, everyone.
Yeah, it was great.
So again, what?
Yeah, you got all those businesswomen together, you know. Pat yourself on the back. Go ahead.
Well, I don't think of it as pat myself on the back, but again, I feel like it was a
I
thing.
mean, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have been there.
Okay, big facts. But I think the other thing, though, is like, again, it's like every single one of us is an ambassador. Because when I was selling tickets, because it's a selling tickets kind of thing, like I'm tagging you, I'm tagging La Cultura, I'm tagging the papers, CNY Latino, and everybody kind of knows like we're generating each other's activity, interest, inspiration, just in the fact that we're having the event. So that's what I kept telling myself. I was like, you know, gente, they see you, this is exciting, they know, but also like not to get all loud on the microphone, but I get excited about building, and you do this too, and we talked about this earlier in the session, like building deliberate spaces. And be like, in this space, like we're all nice to each other. We all have cupcakes. Everything's pink. Like, just go with it. Just go with it. And
Let's go with it.
not everyone loves pink, everyone in the audience. I know everyone in the audience is shocked to learn that not everyone loves pink.
Can I just say a story real quick?
Tell your story. I don't know.
earlier today, right before we started, I was like, oh, you have my favorite color on. She says, pink? I said, no, orange on her headphones.
So
you really thought it was pink.
Hashtag all pink, everything
Pink
me.
is love. Pink.
And I feel like I was going to say the wrong name, but it'll come back to me, of who in Dipset were all pink. But it's good. I know it was Karen. All pink. Okay, we can come back to that. But again, like I think part of it too is branding. Like I think pink is a color I never wore when I was younger. Also because I wasn't very like girly. You know, I had like a lot of boy cousins. We were in the campo a lot. Like we were at like, you know, doing different things. My mom had us outside. Like my mom is a white outside. Like it's not cold outside. And you're like, everybody else is inside, mom. And it's like minus 10. Like literally like I didn't wear like flowers and stuff like that. And then by the time I could like actually do it, everyone's like, that's not professional. That's not professional. You can't wear that in that environment. I was like, oh, I guess it's over. All I do is work, and at that time I was a lawyer, right? And like you can't wear, well, now you can, and I'm so proud of our legal community, but like in the time that I was aspiring to become an attorney, like, those things weren't very common, and it wasn't something that was super accepted. So I'm just like doing pink as like I can finally wear it, and I'm professional now, so it's gonna be professional because we're building Deliver Space for ourselves. So
absolutely.
And if somebody came and was like, "This is what I feel like is professional," and it was totally different than me, and like they meant that, I'd be like, okay.
That's fine.
Cool.
That's
buy
you.
a ticket. Vamos. You want a cookie? Like, I'm not going to be like upset, but I also like want people to like have something to identify us by.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Francis, big like ups to you and the Isla. Visit them in Niagara. Literally, those are our people. That's where we had our first social. And if you're just tuning in right now, we were talking about our fall social, which was at Princesas. Like a lot of this at this point is like me shouting out my friends. So if you're just like tuning in and you're like, is this you're just like yelling you people's names? Princesa also, her studio, and then Juju's Blues Bakery, and like there's others that are gonna come to me. Tammy, who like came together to put this event, and it was so cool for me to be able to call on different Latinas and be able to use the directory to do that. So thank you for helping me share it. Thank you for helping me celebrate in the future that we're getting 100. Let's go. And then also I want to remind everyone, and I want your feedback on, this directory is statewide, y'all. Okay? Now, I haven't touched New York City. You know my father's from New York City. From the Lower East Side, from Rucker's houses. Every time we're going to go there, okay? But, like, it's mostly people-centered in Rochester and Buffalo, but it can be so much bigger, right? Mm-hmm. So much bigger. So I'm really, really excited to see it grow, but also acknowledging we have businesses on there from Ontario County and, like, Glen Falls. And I really feel like when you see this list, it's, like, almost a list of safe spaces. Mm-hmm. Like that you're like, okay, I could go to this place if it's a physical place, or if not, reach out to this person. And, they're going to understand me, or at least know what the directory is. Hopefully. Hopefully. We've been out for 7 months, I think. So we're new, y'all, and we're about to hit the big CN number. That's okay, right. So I'm going to do one last question from the column, and then I'm going to let you ask me a question, even though I feel like you're doing that.
I've asked you a lot of questions.
I know. In the nature of, like, us doing this interview, and, like, I love it. I'm okay with it. If anybody hasn't read Amber's interview, you can go to makinglatinaherstory.us, and you can see like her interview, and there's also links to La Cultura and to her Facebook, and there's pictures of Amber and like, more quotes than the ones that we're going over. I'm just picking the questions that I love and that we didn't cover last time that we were together. Mm-hmm. So the next question, and I always feel like dun dun dun, but you already answered it.
You have music over there, producer?
Oh, instead of me? I didn't even think of that. But then I would have to signal him. It would be too much. Okay, so... Okay. 7. What is the most important thing you have learned along the way? And then I'm going to read you your answer, and then you have to tell me, like, what inspired your answer, what were you thinking? Or, like, I'm not even going to assume that you wrote all the answers at the same time, because some people take their time. They're like, I have answers to question 3 to 7, or, like, what you were doing when you inspired to answer that question. So This is your answer. Life has taught me the only way to get to the success you want is to believe in yourself and to put yourself first in anything and everything you do. Mm-hmm. So what inspired that answer?
It's a fact.
I knew you were going to say something like this.
It is.
I was anticipating this. I was like, I'm going to read her questions and she's going to make eso.
Eso mismo.
Yeah, but like, how did you learn that? Or was that the way that you grew up? Because the way that I grew up was God, papi, God, my brothers, like, or like, Wela.
Yeah.
I wasn't on the top 3. Just know that.
I wasn't either, girl. So, no, I think for me, like, I think just trial and error, going through bad relationships, or
really?
Yeah, or just struggles and stuff, and and being the only person that you can lean on, you know, type of situations. And I would say those are the biggest things that helped me get to the point where it's just like, you know what, like, if I don't believe in myself, nobody's gonna believe in me.
Yeah.
And I know what I can bring to the table as far as my leadership skills and just me being able to connect with people. And yeah, you know, I mean, that really holds true for whoever and whatever your goals are in life. Just as long as you believe in yourself, like, you can really do and be anything you want to be. Look at you.
Nobody thought I was going to be shit, okay? I would sit on the porch and I would tell people, oh, I want to go to law school, and they would be like, "Gang, ooh."
Yeah, it'd be the people
Like-
that don't want to
like
put in the
looking around
work
for
that'll
like who
tell
I was
you.
talking about. Well, and I think too, like, okay, so many of the people in our community, because of factors out of their control, their potential to dream has been limited. So sometimes,
Their mental potential.
well, you know, yeah, but
Their mental potential, because I didn't grow up with a lot.
okay.
You know, I didn't grow up, you know, with whatever, or, you know, both parents in the house or whatever the case is, right? Like,
Yeah.
your own mentality can block you, honestly, from just being a better person, or just like, you know, not limiting yourself to just
Right.
your environment.
Okay, so I agree with that, and I know that you know, language is really important to me. So I use the term different abilities. I know you're my Facebook friend. You see me talk about it. But one of the things that I would say I agree with that falls within the narrative that fits like your answer is like, I don't really share his story a lot, but like my brother has cerebral palsy, and he was told he wasn't going to be able to walk, he wasn't going to be able to fully participate in society, and that essentially excuse me, that his own potential was limited, and he just didn't even accept that narrative, right? And every time,
That's great.
it's just incredible because
Oh, that's awesome.
well, I mean, he does have different abilities, right? Because I don't like the word disability.
Yeah.
Like, he does have different abilities, and those are things that he can't deny, right? Because of you know, things that were out of his control, but his ability to move forward, right? And not kind of internalize what people said about him, or the derogatory things that were said about him, because, you know, when you grow up in the hood, anything that makes you more vulnerable, people tune in on. Anything. And that goes with your whole group, right? Like, see, I hit the Aika, you're like, that one. Like, so, you know, everybody always notices. And I think that for me, it was something that I was like, I'm just going to let him inspire me. Like, I'm not even going to try to wrap my head around what it feels like to be him, because I don't think that I would be able to be that brave. But I was just like, I'm just going to let him inspire me, and like, just never forget that some people, you know, are dealing with different things that, you know, they don't divulge. So I just feel like if you do believe in yourself, you can do anything, like anything, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. So
Good for your brother. Honestly.
right, John, you're that dude. He already knows. He's amazing.
Okay, John.
And then on top of it, he's a public servant. I'm not going to
Look at
say
that.
how. Yeah, but I'm just like, you're an aspiring ass person.
Absolutely.
Like, stop being so perfect. No, jokingly, but yeah, I think that anytime I thought about what like my difficulties were, like, I thought about him as an example. So,
Right.
you know, thank you for being so authentic in your interview. Again, if anybody wants to read your complete interview, it's in 4 papers. Look for your paper. Look for your Latino paper. I always say, if you're watching this, if you're a business, if you're a home, and you want to get the Latino papers and you don't know what they are, like, hit us, right? If you're watching this and you're like, I don't know what my hometown Latino paper is, hit us, because I will definitely hit up some of our editors, because now there are editors. They've read about you. They know about you. Like, my editors get in the business. They'd be like, oh, this is like the other girl. I'm like, you remembered what I said. So trust and believe my editors have read your interview, and like, they will get a paper out there. And I think that that's something that I'm trying to be more vocal about in spaces like these, digital spaces, as we go on, like, you know, super excited. So 4 papers, you're in. Check you out, right? Also, my website, making latinaherstory.us, and then CNY Latino has a website. So does the Buffalo Latino Village. You're on the Instagram. They can find you at La Cultura.
La Cultura _
Thank you.
New York. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. This was amazing, honestly. I think it was a great dialogue. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things, as we move to a close, and I let you ask me a question, which I'm excited about, and don't act like you don't have one, because I know you. Whatever that question might be, and if you don't, you can just like message me, and I guess we can answer it together later.
How
Because
much time do you have to answer a question?
Oh my God! But what kind of question could it be?
I don't know.
I'm gonna be like
Depends on
you.
the
I'm gonna
question.
answer in one sentence. I'm not good at being a timekeeper, but I would say between the two of us, and I'm not allowed to talk about time. Someone said.
Okay, I'll just ask.
Okay, Dali.
What inspired you to become a lawyer?
I always think everyone was wrong. I was like, you know what? That does not sound like a good idea to me. And like, I was young, and like, okay, so what inspired me to be an attorney is we grew up in, I grew up in a family where, okay, to give them their credit, everybody had a voice. So you might not be first, you might not be heard that day, but if you had something to say about something, we were just going to give you the floor like, okay, go ahead, say it. So for me, I grew up with parents who were like, okay, what do you think? And I always just like thought things, like I always just felt strongly about the world. And obviously they made that space for me. Other times I made that space for myself. But I think one of the things was somebody was like, oh, if you become a lawyer, you can argue with people all day. And I was like, well, if I'm still going to think people are wrong at that point, this must be my calling. Yes. That's essentially what it is, right? So big shouts to UV Law. I had an amazing experience there, and they're supporting a lot of other young, talented people of color who are going through law school like me, you know, just as a journey. So thank you for joining us. Like, I love just the two of us. I love the fact that you know, authentically show up in writing and text, like here, you know, digitally. And anything that you need out of Latina Herstory, let us know. We're there. We're going to show up for you.
I appreciate it. And you already know
We're going to tag you.
La Cortura. And me personally, you already know Jordan Carlos. We got your back.
Yeah, we're kind of really good now because you're like working in cahoots with my cousin.
Yeah.
But yeah, making space to talk about our next feature. Our next feature comes out in October. There are many similarities between our next feature and Miss Martinez. But that's the last time. That's all I'm going to say. But again, my name's Talia. I'm here with Latina Herstory. This is Miss September. Thank you for tuning in with us and spending a little time with us, getting to know our community, checking out our column, and talking about Amber's future plans. So we will see you on Facebook, Instagram, and check us out in between, again, in our papers and on the blog. Okay, everybody? Bye.
Bye.